Not quite sure of the YouTube etiquette when it comes to, this intro. Like, do you have to say, "Hi everybody on YouTube, this is Wingnut"? It just seems counterproductive to me. But then again, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. All right. Well, as you can see, I have audio again, and I'm actually recording on a separate unit than my camera. So I ended up picking up an external audio recording device, and I currently have it on. Hopefully I can sync all this up and it makes a decent video. If not, it will look like I'm kung fu fighting when I'm not. Alright, so quick update for all my followers and people who find this video that may end up being a follower or subscriber, or however you want to call yourself. I just got back a week ago from my trip home to Tennessee, and got a lot of stuff done. Got my bike re-registered in Tennessee, and so yeah, got the bike re-registered and got it set up for Tennessee. Got everything worked around to match that. I wasn't able to get my concealed carry done while I was there, but such is life. I just didn't have quite all the paperwork I needed from the military to do it the quick way. So I'm having to go, and I'll end up doing it here in Virginia, and then a little bit later I'll do it in Tennessee, I guess, next time I go back home. Aside from the trip, had a lot of interesting conversations with my father and friends of the, pardon me, with my conversations with my father and friends of the family, and a lot of it had to do with things that have been happening around the farm, and things have been happening, but a good bit of it was about how people are really disconnected from their food. And this is something I brought up before in previous moto vlogs, and it's also something that I just wanted to bring up again, because just to paint the picture for you, if I can. We were in the slaughterhouse. My father has a kill house, or a slaughterhouse, whatever you want to call it, built onto the side of one of his buildings, and it's where we process deer meat. It's where we process our hogs or beef or whatever for personal consumption. But we have a room dedicated to this because it has freezers in it. It has meat grinders and slicers, and it has all the stuff that we need to do the work, and it's set up at any given time. So at the very least, you ain't gonna starve at his house. So we got this room full of all this stuff, and it basically looks like the inside of a butcher shop. And we've got a 15-gallon black iron cauldron cooking with fat in it, making cracklings and rendering the lard. We've got 2 hogs hanging that have been skinned out, trotters cut off, and 3 hog heads soaking, also been skinned out, to make hog jaw and to also make sauce in a bucket full of heads. I mean, it's a wash tub full of pig heads, and it's, we're sitting there eating 1.5 inch thick pork chops with homemade baked beans, and we've got jalapeno peppers that have been stuffed with goat cheese wrapped in homemade bacon, smoked inside of a smoker. And we're eating homemade, I mean, an absolutely fabulous homemade meal. This is the kind of meal that if you went to a restaurant, you know, you would spend money to eat this. And here we are chowing down on it. Most of us covered in bits of meat and blood and everything else. And this is perfectly normal for us. This is a normal thing. And, you know, that's just how I grew up. I mean, every winter, we killed hogs. We raised them. You know, we took care of them, made sure they were nice and healthy. We killed them, and that's what we ate. You know, and you make everything out the hog and use as much of the hog as absolutely possible. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of the hog you can use. And I can probably only think of maybe a dozen people I know that can sit there in a room like that and have a meal. I mean, or have a meal after being in a room like that. The majority of people today are very disconnected on where their food from. So they know sausage and bacon is pig, but they ain't ever pulled the trigger or skinned it with a knife or done the work themselves. And, you know, I'm not saying you have to really experience it. It's just, that's how the world's changed. You know, something that was very common when I was a kid in our area was everybody getting together and, you know, slaughtering hogs. Well, you know, in that area, going back to it, it's not as common. There's a few people still do it, but it's not as common. When my father was a kid, it was very common. In fact, it was the norm in the area that he grew up in, which is the area that I mostly grew up in. And then, you know, my grandfather's time, everybody did that shit. So it's changed a lot, and I don't understand why. I mean, I guess it's the convenience factor of it all, but I know where that hog came from. I know where it's been, know what it's done, know what it's ate, know what it's been around. I know where my food came from, and not many people can say that nowadays. So, yeah, that's one of the things. There's just other conversations we'll get to as we go. But for right now, I think I'll leave it with that. That, you know, for your next time you go to have something to eat, just remember everything that's in that meat counter at Walmart started off pretty cute, you know. All right. And while I'm sitting here waiting on the traffic to allow me to zip through, I'd like to shout out to my wonderful followers who, you know, I appreciate having people who are interested enough to actually subscribe to my channel, and also to say thank y'all for the support that I've gotten so far, which has been great. And if you have something you want to see or talk about, or something you want broached, and it has to do with the 7 city areas or has to do with the Navy, I'll do my best to answer your questions, but there's a couple things I can't do. One, I can't give you, you know, any trade secrets, and two, I also will not, and hear me now, will not talk about politics. Just not my thing. You know, politics, sports, and religion. Those are the 3 things that some people can't separate, and guaranteed to get people butthurt. So, you know, of course, subscribe, give me a like, give me a dislike. It's on you. I don't care. Have a good one. If you like what I got to say, you've been listening, subscribe. You know, give me a like, give me a dislike. I don't care. It's on you. Have a great one.